In the early 2000s, Patrick Lencioni did a piece of work around what makes high-performing teams successful. He called it the 5 dysfunctions of high-performing teams. In Purple Story, this is one of our foundational models, and it's called the Pyramid of Trust. That's what we call it. It's adapted from Patrick Lencioni's work. And it's fundamental to the way that we work in organisations today. 20 years ago, we expected team to do what we told them to do. Many of us learned management in that way. Today, a job as a manager or leader is to inspire your team to get them to do what you want them to do. The Pyramid of Trust is a really engaging model to help bring that to light. And I'm going to spend a few minutes talking it through. You might want to draw it out as I'm saying it. So why not draw a big triangle and split it into 5 levels? Okay, from his work, he surveyed thousands of businesses in the States to come up with what were the 5 key traits that made those organisations successful. And the very bottom of the pyramid was trust. Why don't you write in trust on that bottom level of that triangle right now? Now, trust is about relationship. It's about more than that person in front of you just being an employee. It's about knowing what makes them tick and that they know you've got their back. They know and trust that you are going to do the right things for them and the business and the customer. Trust is critical. It's a bit like on the Monopoly board. Don't pass go unless. Trust is where it starts from. So we move to the next level. And once you have trust, you get to have what he called conflict. Why don't you write conflict in that second level? Now, we're predisposed to think of conflict as negative because we hear the word conflict and many of us think of the conflict in Afghanistan or the conflict in Ukraine or, oh, I don't like conflict. Conflict is good. Conflict is healthy. If you don't like the word conflict, then change it to challenge or curiosity. But conflict means help me understand why. So when your team are going, why do you want me to do that? They're not being difficult. You've created a safe space with trust for them to allow to challenge you with why you're doing what you're doing. In fact, think about those meetings you might have been in, where you don't have conflict, where everybody sits quietly round the table as the person that's talking is going, and here's the new process that we're putting in. Everybody's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then as soon as you walk out the meeting, you all go, oh my God, that was stupid. Unless you create a safe space in the meeting to talk about conflict, people don't get on board with what you want them to do. So we've got trust. We've created the safe space for conflict to allow people to challenge, to question, which means we can now move to the 3rd level. And the 3rd level on that pyramid, that triangle, is what Patrick Lencioni called commitment. I call it belief. You might want to write belief in there. If I trust that you've got my best interest at heart, you've allowed me to question conflict, why we're doing something, I don't have to agree with you. But because you are my line manager, then I believe in what we're doing because you've enabled me to believe, which means I can commit to making it happen. If you don't allow me the safe space, then I'm not going to believe. If I don't believe, I don't commit, it doesn't happen. We know what happens when people don't believe is actually they probably leave. Or when things are a bit hard, we make it easy for them to kind of go, I'm not doing that. If you haven't got consistency in your operation, it's probably because you haven't got this third level, commitment or belief. Once we've got belief, we can move to the fourth level. And the fourth level is accountability. I trust you've got my best interests at heart. You've created space for me to conflict, ask questions. I now believe in what we're doing. I don't agree, but I believe in your understanding, which means I can now take accountability for making it happen. I know what I need to do to make it happen. If we don't have accountability, then the likelihood is things don't get done. People don't take charge of their own actions, and the consistency of what you're trying to do doesn't happen. Your performance is impacted. The fifth level is really simply results. Trust, conflict, belief, accountability will lead to the results. They're the 5 levels in the pyramid of trust. Now, who's seen Danger Zone? Or should I say, who's seen Top Gun with that film Danger Zone? I always do that. Kenny Loggins sang Highway to the Danger Zone. That song will be like an earworm going through your head now. What I want you to do, that pyramid that's in front of you, if you've got a red pen to hand, don't worry if you don't, just use any pen. I want you to draw a triangle around those top 2 levels. Now what I want you to do is to draw an arrow next to them and write Danger Zone. Now what I want you to do is to draw 2 parallel lines coming from the bottom of that top 2 sections. If you operate in accountability and results, your effectiveness with team engagement will be only as wide as the top bit of that pyramid, because you are managing task. You're coming in from accountability. Please clear that table. Here's the result I want. The reality is that team need to be inspired and engaged and motivated. So if you're able to lead behaviour from the bottom of the pyramid, now look at how impactful you will be, because the width of the bottom versus the width of that danger zone makes it really clear. You need to lead behaviour, not manage task. If I lead behaviour and build relationship, then the task happens. The results will come. It's a balance of the two. The pyramid of trust is about coming from the bottom of the pyramid and staying out of the danger zone.